So in today's episode, I'm going to do a $50 budget. So obviously, I think I would still recommend that if you only have $50 to spend in this game, I would recommend you do rentals and you climb and you earn more DEC that way, and you get to a point where you would invest, let's say $50 in rentals, and you earn back $60, and then let's say you earn $60 a season. I don't know how much you could earn with rentals. All I'm saying is get yourself to a point where you put in your time and you put in a little bit of money to rent good cards and you gain more from it. So there's some different rental strategies that I've heard of. Like a good one would just be something like get an account as high as it can and then just get all those reward cards, which they're now amending because people have been abusing that. Another one would be rent for one day and then play it from 100 to, let's say, 10%, like burn it all the way down, or 100 to 50% instead of the usual 70% that I recommend, and then rest for 2 days and then get back on, and then rent for a day and then play all the way down. Like there's many different ways to do rent, and we can do the math and figure it out together. Once again, this video is not for if you want to rent. Let's say you've got your rental money, you're renting already the same deck every season, and you've got some money now to spend, and you want to grow your deck. So we're going to go with the budget of $50. And if you were to watch my novice and bronze deck recommendations, some of the best cards that I did recommend now cost a fortune, like a chicken. Chicken is so important, and it costs $43. Like, how ridiculous is that? So for you, a newcomer, to join, and you've only got $50 to spend, do you really want to spend 44 on a chicken? How much is a chicken to rent? I swear to God, if it's like 50 DEC, that's crazy. Okay, no, okay, that's cool. So yeah, 10 DEC a day. That's actually not too bad. So I would recommend don't buy a chicken, rent a level 1 chicken, just to use it because it's the most used card in the game, and it's probably the most important card in the game because it helps protect you from opportunity and sneaks. And it just takes one hit for you for free, and that hit could honestly be life and death, and it helps you improve your win rate like crazy. So what we're doing is we're going to do, I think the plan is we're going to do $50, and then there are 6 splinters plus neutral, so we're going to aim to do a budget of about, let's go 50 divided by 7, which I think, if I'm quick at maths, is like 7 point something. So it's like $7 each. So let's start with fire. Let's go to sales. Okay, so so once again, if you think about it, you already will have all the starter cards. So you already have all of the commons and the rares for when you start this game. And if you were to look at summoners, if you just buy a level 1 summoner, it doesn't impact that much because it doesn't affect levels and stuff like that. And with a budget of only $7 to spend, you can only buy a quid if you wanted to buy a new summoner. But I think the free summoners of the +1 melee or the plus speed is better than a quid anyway. So we're not going to spend our $7 in fire on quid. So we're going to automatically rule out any commons and rares from Untamed and Beta, because we're not going to have levels, because we're not going to have the summoner for it. So getting a common and having levels doesn't matter. But what I would say is a useful card to get is a Flame Monkey. So the first card I'm going to write down is Flame Monkey. Flame Monkey. And it is $1.30. So the reason a Flame Monkey is so good is it basically acts the same as a ooze. So if you're not going to rent an ooze and you want to buy a Flame Monkey is really strong because it's a cheap card, it's 1 mana, and it will do the same thing as a chicken or an ooze, where it will just take an extra shot from stealth or opportunity. And then if you have massive money, and you can get a monkey at level 5, it gets repair, and then it's super useful. But I think Flame Monkey for $1.3, we're not going to confirm it, I'm just writing down Flame Monkey because I do consider it super strong and super good. I think yeah, that's probably the one that I like the most. So it's a reward epic, a pyromancer, and what it does is it gives you blast, because obviously if you're not going to rent or own a Jotun, you don't have access to blast, and then the only monster that has blast for free would be the fire elemental, which if you look at it, it's got high speed, which is great. It's got 2 ranged, but it's got 2 HP. So it's very, very vulnerable to Serpian Spies, to snipe, to like any monster with snipe or any opportunity. It's super, super fragile. But literally for 1 more mana, and you get less speed, but you get the same amount of damage, but you get 3 more HP, a Pyromancer to me is a no-brainer. So let me think. Let's look at some other cards. So we're going to look at some epics. So are there any other epics we could afford? No, Pyromancer is the cheapest. So if we're not looking at epics, obviously legendaries will be out of the question for a $7 budget. But then what we should look at is we look at the promo cards. Molten Ogre, no, I wouldn't recommend him for $3. I think I prefer Living Lava. We do like the Flame Monkey. And Alfred Elder is honestly overrated. I definitely Finish Rage. Finish Rage is actually really strong as well. Okay, cool. So I think for our first choice, if we have $7 to spend, it's either gonna be, I would recommend buying a Pyromancer for $7 or a Flame Monkey plus Finish Rage. We're gonna look at summoners first. So if we have $7, the only cheap available summoner is a Vera, and with Snare, honestly, it's not that impressive. So I'm not gonna look for summoners, I'm gonna look at monsters and see which is good. Okay, so yeah, so with water, I definitely think tank is what we need. So the main thing when you start water is that the beta water cards, you either get a frozen soldier, and a level 1 frozen soldier has 3 HP, which means that he's very, very vulnerable to magic. So the shield is great, the armor is great, but he's very, very vulnerable to pierce and magic. So if they've got a goblin mech or any magic damage, he just dies. And then in Untamed, this guy has such high speed, he's got high damage, he's a really good damaging melee monster, but he's not a very good tank, because for 7 mana, he's only got 2-5. There's much better tanks out there. Like, even a lobster has crazy HP and shield, which is already a better tank than that, for less mana. So what we want to do is we're going to look for which tanks are available. So we're going to go to the reward cards, and there's 2 on my mind. Obviously, Kraken is not one of them. Wow, he's $14! So the first one on my mind was a Torhelio the Frozen. I think he's such a good tank in general. He's great for reverse speed because he's got 1 speed. He's got Void, so he's anti-magic water. Such high damage, good HP, good armor. So if you have the budget, I would recommend this. Okay, so we can't buy Torhelio, so then our choice drops down. And let's quickly look at some dice cards. No, this isn't that good, and the 2 legendaries are not the best. And then we got to look at some epic cards. No, unfortunately, all the epics are above $7. So that basically gives our choice. Let's see, promos. Nope. Okay, so yeah, our choice for a $7 budget is reward cards again. And which ones would I look at? Pirate Archer is not bad. I like the blast. I use Pirate Archer a lot. He's decent. Like, just having blast is always nice. But I think what we would look at would be a combination of these 2. So I think definitely get a sea monster. It's very expensive for a common, but so the next card would be a Captain's Ghost, and actually this is really strong. Like, the speed's not the nicest, but just 2 magic damage, and when you first start water, if you look at what you have available when you start a deck, so it would be that. It would be your beta, your untamed. It's beta, untamed, and then it's only commons and rares for water and for neutrals. So what magic cards do you actually have? You got a really shitty Elven Mystic for 4 mana, 1/7, and then you've got a 1/3 for 4 mana, and then a 1/1, and then a 1/1 at 3 mana. So you don't have anything that has 2 magic damage at that stage. And they've all got such small HP that that's probably the main reason why people say Magic isn't viable. Yeah, that's why Magic's not viable in Bronze and Novice, and it only becomes more better and more usable when you get into Silver, when you get more mana games. But I will say that for that reason, oops. Okay, so, but yeah, Captain's Ghost, not a bad pick. So I think what I would recommend is, I would recommend either Captain's Ghost if you want to play Magic, or a combination of Sea Monster plus Pirate Archer, or Sea Monster plus maybe even a Sea Genie, and then you just play the Sea Genie on Equalizer games, because then that 3 HP doesn't matter, and then you still get that 2 magic damage. So those are the 3 cards I would look at, and then these are also not bad. But I'm going to write Sea Monster plus Sea Genie for this game, because I think having a better tank like Sea Monster is more important, unless we get like a neutral tank. Sea Monster plus... So with Earth, if we look at the epics, unfortunately all the epics are above $7, so we can't just look at epics. This game's really expensive at the moment, guys, I'm sorry about that. If we look at dice, Goblin Darting, actually not too bad. I'm going to write Goblin Darting because this is the first time I actually like the dice card. So Goblin Dart is coming in at 0.48. So now we have less money to spend. So the nice thing about a Goblin Dart is that it's 2 mana and then it does 1/2. So you can always, it's just a very viable card that you'll just drop in whenever you can. If you look at Earth, there's another 2 mana card that I always use, which is it's an Untamed card. Let me find it quickly. So I always use a Khmer Princess, which does the exact same thing, but with magic damage. And yeah, basically, if Magic's ruled out and you've got 2 extra mana, you just drop your Goblin Darting. And it's basically a bad version of Child of the Forest, but it costs 1 mana less, and yeah, it might be in an even game, you might just have 2 extra mana, so it's not a bad card to add to your deck. So we got, Goblin Chef, not bad. Unfortunately, I wouldn't recommend him until later on when he starts getting Affliction as well as Poison, then he becomes even better. Let's quickly look at Summoners. I think, yeah, no, there's no Summoners. Yeah, spend your whole $50 on one card if you guys want. She's super strong, but you could also just rent her. Hopefully she's like a chicken. Okay, you can get her for 2070 EC, so it's double the price of what it costs to rent a chicken, which is pretty good, but yeah, that's some good money. So back to sales, it's got to be some reward cards. Again, I think most of this video is going to be which reward cards to buy and why. So we got $7 to spend. We're definitely going to buy the Nectar Queen. Screeching Vulture, not bad. Not the best. Okay. I'm going to say Nectar Queen. Okay. This makes me feel good. And then a Wood Nymph. We're going to be a bit over budget, because we would spend 6.5 on a Wood Nymph, and then we'd spend 0.4 on the Goblin Dartling, so that's already the $7, and then a luxury is the Nectar Queen for 1.3, so we're going to spend 8.3, which means that in some other place we're going to lose 1.3 US dollars in order to stick in the budget. But basically, Nectar Queen's really strong because high damage, high HP, and when you play reverse game modes in Earth and you're using your starter cards, you will then use a Unicorn Mustang most of the time. But if it's suddenly reverse speed, you suddenly drop in your Nectar Queen, which has less speed, And then if it's Earthquake or game mode like that, you can drop in the 2. And then the other thing that's really good is Nectar Queen's 9 mana, and then the Unicorn Mustang's 8 mana. So if you ever, if it's an odds or even game and stuff like that, you can always play one of your main tanks. Wouldn't have really strong tank heal just to support your main tank. And then as again, the Goblin Dartling comes in to support whenever it can. But let's just go through it again so we can just double check. If we look at epics, okay, cool. There are 2 epics available. One's a reward and the other is the dice that are available at our $7 budget. If we were to look at promos, we can't get the Armor Smith. He's a bit too expensive. You might have to rent him. If we look at dice, there's only the Mistress. And if we were to look, if we look at summoners, we can't get the Laura Shine. She's $2 above our budget. So that, and then if we have to look at reward cards. So yeah, we're either going to choose some reward cards or the dice cards. Okay, so for reward cards, Silver Shield Sheriff, really strong. But the main thing is that you won't be in too many high mana games. But when you can, dropping this in would be huge and very beneficial. Templar Priest, really strong. For 5 mana, you get the 2/4. Nothing actually to say. I think he's probably a really good option for $1. Evangelist is actually really well priced. And I can understand why she's worth the $6 because she does 3 archer damage and 5 tank. But if you compare that to the other amazing cards, like this is $30 and it's 1 less mana, more speed, but it's still 1 less damage, but it's still the 5 HP for 1 less mana. So I would actually say that she's better than this, and this costs $30. And then if we looked at the Untamed, no, sorry, it's not Untamed, it's also a beta, I believe. And then a Peacebringer is 4 mana, 2/4, and 3 speed. So I think those cards are still better than her, but for what she gives you, for $6 is way better than the Air Elemental. So she's not badly priced if you want to pick her up. So I think for life, your choice would either be an Evangelist or like a Temple Priest, and then you save some cash, or you do what I would do and I would buy a Mistress. I think she is so good for 6 mana. She's got decent speed. She will destroy whenever they put like annoying tanks in the front, like a Sleeping Giant. She's got 2 mana and then she's got 7 HP. So she would be a perfect position 2 unit. So you can drop her, and so you can basically swap her out instead of playing a, what's it called? The Eagle. So the Eagle does 2, 5, and 3 HP with Reach. You could swap her out with the Eagle, and you've got more HP, less speed, but it's magic damage. So really good card. I would highly recommend her. Okay, now we're going to move on to Death. So same thing, we're going to quickly look at the epics. And unfortunately, all the epics in this game for Death are above $7, so we can't spend it on Death. And then the only summoner is the one that we would get for free in the starter deck at $7, so we can't buy the Contessa. So I think we're gonna look at the dice quickly. No, I don't like Marrow's Ghost. If some people do, don't take offense. And we can't look at the promos. So we can't use any of the epics, so the only thing we can look at is rewards. And I think this is where we're going to get our money back, because I think we did say that I owe 1.3 extra US dollars because we overspent in Earth. So I'm going to make sure that we spend like 5.7 here. So what cards do I recommend? Pick up an Undead Rex if you want, like $1, really strong HP. HP is okay, but really strong damage. So you just would plop him in a reverse speed game, and he's really strong. And an Octopi. Actually, yeah, it's very simple. I would go Octopider, Undead Rex, and then if you don't want to do an Octopider, you could do a Boogeyman. And Dark Ferryman's actually not too bad for 3 mana. So yeah, I would do Undead Rex, Octopiter, Dark Ferryman, or you could see how many reward cards are still available, and then you might just hope that you could find an Undead Rex if they're not completely printed, or you might just hope to find Dark Ferryman. Ooh, that's kind of crazy. I think this is a common and it's $1. This is a rare and it's $1.14. So for value-wise, and just extra points and collection power, I would go Dark Ferryman, Octopiter, because Death actually has some decent tanks for free. And the main one is obviously going to be Haunted Spirit. So you can go Haunted Spirit, and then to support the Haunted Spirit in the back line is your Octopiter and your Dark Ferryman, depending on how many mana you're going to play. Okay. Moving on to Dragon, I don't even know if this is possible. We might just save this money and look for something else to invest in. But let's look at Summoners. What Summoners are available? I really hope the one... okay, done. Yeah. So, Crench, wouldn't recommend, but Brighton Bloom, for $7.1, grab yourself a Brighton Bloom. She will save you and win you so many Earthquake games. I think across all my different accounts, I've got like a 90% win rate with her, and that's because I just use her in any Earthquake game I can, and she just takes away that stress. I'm still going to go through Dragons to just see if I miss anything that's very important. When we look at epics, Dragon Spirit and Crench are the only ones available to us. Obviously, legendaries won't be available to us. And then we look at promos. Okay, so we can get a Dragon Bowman. That's still available. And then if you go to Dice, Naga Brute, not bad, but... And then we look at rewards. Okay. No. For Dragon, it's very simple. If you have only $7 to spend, you pick yourself up a Brighton Bloom, and she will carry you through Earthquake games, and yeah, highly recommend that. And then finally it's neutrals. So we got our last $7 to spend. We saved our money in Death to pay for our overspenditure in Earth. So now we got $7 to spend in neutrals. Obviously there's no summoners to look at. It's just what cards we want. So, wow, Goblin Mech is so expensive. I bought this stuff for like less than $1. So Goblin Mech is 0.47, not bad. So, okay, honestly speaking, as a newcomer into this game, the most important ones would obviously be a chicken. So $42, chicken, most important. Then it would be something like an ooze, $8, because same thing as the chicken, except for the $1 you get the slow. Honestly, next would be a prismatic energy for me. I think having Magic Reflect, and this card will basically carry you through no melee matchups. So super strong. You basically have to have it in no melee matchups. You put it right behind a Lord A in like high skilled games, and very good, very expensive. But we don't have that luxury. We've got $7 to spend. Gluttonous Ooze, not bad for Earthquake and Poison games. Okay, Sandworm, definitely worth it. And now that it's out of print, okay, so I'm gonna big brain this. Okay, for $7, $3 is spent on the Sandworm, because a 5/5, if it's Equalizer or if it's a high mana game, this will basically is a necessity, and is a necessity part of any deck. A more luxury choice is an Enchanted Defender, which is just used to help carry you guys through Equalizer games. So it costs 4 mana, he's got big shield, and then if you can level him up, that'll be even better. But 4 shield is super strong, and he'll basically help carry you guys through Equalizer games. Goblin Mech, I mean the lazy answer is Goblin Mech, Sandworm, but I think with the other picks we covered, you've got tanks for every other situation, so maybe we don't have to Goblin Mech. Let's see what else is nicer to pick. Battering Ram, that's not really that viable. Okay, so it's either going to be a combination of Gluttonous yeah, it's either going to be the cube plus sandworm, or it's going to be sandworm plus goblin mech. I think those are the best bets. Or it could be something like Onyx Sentinel plus Sandworm. That's basically it, guys. That's how I would spend $50 if I had to buy cards today. I know that most of the answers came from rewards as well as dice. So yeah, this is not financial advice. I don't know if the reward cards will drop off. If you buy them, I don't know where this game is going, but hopefully to the moon. Oh, just a final warning. If you only got like $50 to spend, just double check the backgrounds. So the way that the background of the borders work is this border, if you look at the art style of the border, it represents the beta and the alpha borders. So it's got the same border as these cards, which means that when Chaos Legion comes out, these bordered cards are going to only be usable in the wild format, where the newer border, such as the Sandworm, has the same border background as Untamed. So these are all second edition, maybe second edition is the wrong one, but second set cards, which means that they're going to be usable with Chaos Legion in the new standard set. So if you're on a budget and you're basically saving and planning to only play standard and not play wild, then some of the cards I picked out, like Sea Monster, rather choose cards that have the second edition set behind them, because that way you can stay in standard and you won't play standard and go, oh, why the fuck can't I play my Sea Monster? And that's why. But yeah, dice have so dice is the new set as well, and then promo is the old set. So yeah, all the best, guys. I hope this helps. So please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments what you want me to do next. And if you're a new player, please use the promo code and I'll happily send you the 0.5 US dollars back to you. It just lets me know that people are watching and using the promo, and I'm helping new players join the community. Also, if you find me on the Discord, just pop me a message. I'll happily delegate any of the new players some power.